For this video, I'm using the LK Chen Shuang Dao. It's based off of the New Way Dao design in an antique pair from the Qing dynasty. You can find out more information at lkchensword.com. Check it out in the link in the description down below. Hey, what's up? It's Sifu Kuttel, and in this video we're going to be working with the Seung Dao or Double Broadsword, and we are going to be doing 3 versions of what I call the front flower, and this is just because we're flowering right in front of the body. Sometimes you could call this a side flower, but for the most part, the motion where it's looking very fancy, the flourishing motion is going to happen right in front of us, and then we'll position the blades out to the side afterwards. So that's where we get the name for this one. And we're going to be doing it, like I said, in 3 different ways. And the main thing is our end position, and if we're going to switch to the other side, how we do that will change just slightly. But in the most basic version of it, we're going to be doing a cross, unwind, cross. And this is something we've covered in a previous video in the downward double flower. So if you haven't seen that one, be sure to check that out. It will help your fluidity with this one as well. Now, the last thing before we get to work, I suggest that you work with either some wooden sticks or some foam batons, but definitely not swords as you're doing this, especially not live edged blades. That's way too dangerous, especially during the learning process. Work with something safe that you will be able to focus on the technique and not trying to injure yourself in the process. And if you do bump yourself, the consequences are very minor. Okay, so grab your stuff, let's go get to work. The key to all 3 of these techniques is going to be something that we have done before in a previous flowering video. That's the double downward flower. And this is pretty much where we cross, unwind, and cross. But just in case you haven't seen that one, let's go over it now because it is the most important motion of this technique. So I want you to take one sword and hold it over the other. The blade edges are pointing forward, so they're nice and flat here. My hand is at my elbow, and likewise, my hand is at my elbow. It's just one arm is over the other. Now from here, you can't really swing downward. We'll just tie ourselves up. So whatever hand is on top, raise that arm. We're going to bring them out to the side, so it's nice and circular, and then we're going to change. So now we continue the circle until they cross again. And then up and down, and then cross. So if this hand is on top, I want to go towards where my elbow is. And then the other one, I just need to get out of the way. And once we're out to the sides, it continues to go down, and the other one's going to go over the top. Okay? So nice and easy. Cross, unwind, cross. Unwind, cross, unwind, cross. Unwind, cross. Nice and simple. Now, basically, we're going to turn this into more of a wrist flower. So once you get comfortable with the arms doing the big motion, try to just make it so that the blades move around and you just rotate the wrists. Okay? Now, as we do these, either way, you want to keep this plane of motion in front of your body. We don't want to try to go out to the sides or anything like that. We're keeping the plane of motion nice and smooth in front, like a propeller in front of our body. When it comes to just the wrists doing this motion, you might get a little bit more of a cone shape or the blades pointing forward a little bit more, but that's just because we can only do so much with our wrists to bend and compensate for what we're able to do with swinging the arms where we have the wrists and the elbows working together. Now, once you have that down, the rest of it is all about your end position. So we're going to begin with a cross. I want you to just cross the blades. Don't worry about the unwind. We'll do our end position and then we'll get to flowering. So whatever hand is on top is going to think of like cutting down in front of your own body, and then we're going to come up and out to the side. So I raise here. Again, it's cutting and up and out to the side. Again, right here. Now my other hand, the other blade, I'll rest the spine of the sword against my ribs. That's where it's not sharp. This is where it is safe for me to touch my own body with the sword. Try not to tilt the hand. This gives a chance of your sword blade touching you. So point it straight out to the side. And that's going to be our end position here. Again, likewise, touch the ribs, cut up and across. We can take the hands out, touch the ribs, come up and across. But really, just do that same motion we do. Cross, unwind, cross, touch the spine to the ribs, and then cut. And this will just follow, it's gonna come back down that same path it came up. Unwind and up. Same path down. Unwind, cross, and up. Right here. So we'll use our bow stance and we'll shift from side to side. Use the wrists when you get comfortable with this. We'll come up, we'll come up, come up, come up. Okay? Now, from here, we'll do more of a horizontal slice. So exact same idea. We're going to cross, unwind, and whatever hand is on top is going to do this slice out to the side. So now bringing it back, flipping, cutting out to the side. Really nice quick flip. We want to make this a nice quick motion. The blades just flip in front of the head. I don't need to go around or do this big swinging yee-haw cowboy motion. Once I cut here, it's all in the wrist. It's going to be this small little pass and then come across. Small little pass, come across, small little pass, come across. And then I can use this one to cut. So if I'm coming over to this side, I cut here. And then I can even turn around, cut to the other side, turn around, cut to the other side. Now our final one is a resting position for the blades. My attention is going to be placed in this direction, but whatever the reason is, I cross the blades and I bring them back. I want to make sure that I can get them in a good standardized position. Now, take your time with this one. We are putting the blade edge next to the arm on our back arm, so you have to be very careful of moving in and out of this position. Let's talk about the end position first. Blades need to be straight up. The easiest way to do this is with a firm grip. If my grip is not firm and I'm not looking at my hand, it may feel like it's straight up. But when I look at it, it's not. If I tighten my grip, I have a nice tight fist here. This will allow me to have a much more consistent grip. It's not going to guarantee it every time, but for the most part, a tight grip will ensure if you have your fist in a vertical position, the blade will also be in a vertical position. Okay, so this is what we're looking for. Now our other blade is just going to go underneath our arm and then behind the elbow. And I don't want to be at the crease of the elbow. I want to be closer to my shoulder. So between my elbow and my shoulder, and again, a tight grip. So now this is the position I want to end in, and typically I'm looking away. From here, I have cross, unwind, point up, and then this one will follow that path to come up, and then I look. Down, over, over, up, up. Down, over, over, up, up. Cross, unwind, cross, and we already start up and then up. So the first hand that's going to come up is going to be right next to your elbow, and then you'll finish with the other hand. And the last thing is, again, we have this symmetry this way. We have to make sure there's no tilting forward or tilting back. So that's the other thing you're going to have to work on, is when we bring the blades up, keep them straight up and down this way, okay? Not a tilt here, okay? And not a tilt here. It's just all sloppy. When it comes to double weapons, our ideal is to have ambidexterity and be precise as possible. You have to know where the blade edge, is at all times, because that's going to protect you just as much as be, dangerous to your opponent. So when we do movements like this, we have to know exactly where our blades are, and you have to take the time, double check your blades, double check the tilt forward, tilt back, and tilt to the sides. And then flip to the other side, work on speed, and then make the adjustments to fix. Work on speed, and then make the adjustments to fix. It takes time, it takes lots of practice, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Okay, so there you have it. Now you can see how each version has a little bit of a different way of the approach into the flower itself before we go to the other side. It's not going to make too big of a difference, but it is going to, for the fluidity of it, you do need to follow that path that it exited out. You need to follow that path going on the way back in. Now, when it comes to doing techniques like this and flowering techniques, I do suggest that you do a couple of minutes each day. Doing it for half an hour in one day is just going to leave your hands sore, tired, maybe even with some blisters. And it's not going to give you the biggest jump on this technique that if you would just do it daily, every single day, a few minutes practice. Because the most important thing that's required here is letting your body sleep on it, letting your nervous system reset and developing that muscle memory. This is the only way it's possible. So yeah, you can do 10 minutes of this technique and then the next day 10 minutes and you will see some good progress. Or you can do a couple of minutes every day and you will see some steady progress as well. It's not about the short term here, it's about the long term. So do set that time aside to work on techniques like this. When you're working with Seung Dao and you're doing any kind of double weapon, the hands are moving independently. This is working your brain a lot. There's a lot of ambidexterity and a lot of coordination that's going on here. And in some cases, like you saw here, we actually have some application. Okay, so take the time, work on this one. I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, drop them down below. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.